In the vast and complex social ecosystem, a unique archetype operates with a quiet, unwavering intensity: the Sigma male. Unlike the overt hierarchies of the alpha or the collaborative spirit of the beta, the Sigma male exists on his own axis, a gravitational center unto himself. He is not defined by the need for external validation, nor is he easily swayed by the collective murmur of societal norms. His power is not derived from dominance over others, but from an absolute, unshakable command over his own peace, time, and integrity. This command is enforced not through loud proclamations or aggressive posturing, but through a meticulously maintained internal code, a set of non-negotiable principles that act as an invisible fence around his existence. This code is characterized by a profound, preemptive zero tolerance for behaviors that most have been conditioned to accept, excuse, or simply overlook in the name of social convenience. The Sigma zero tolerance is not born of anger, petulance, or a fragile ego. It is a product of intense observation, pattern recognition, and a deep, almost biological need for self-preservation. He views the world through a lens of cause and effect, where small, seemingly insignificant actions are not isolated events, but data points that reveal the core architecture of a person's character. While a majority of people might shrug off a disrespectful comment as a bad day or tolerate chronic lateness as a personality quirk, the Sigma male processes these events differently. He does not see the single drop of rain, but the coming storm. His disengagement is not a punishment he inflicts upon others. It is a protection he grants himself. It is a calm, deliberate act of closing a door to preserve the sanctity of his inner world, ensuring that his energy, his most precious resource, is invested only in endeavors and relationships that yield returns of mutual respect, authenticity, and growth. What follows is an exhaustive exploration of the 8 specific behaviors that trigger this silent, non-negotiable withdrawal, dissecting the philosophy behind each boundary and profound implications of its enforcement. 1. The veneer of humor, zero tolerance for disguised disrespect. The first and perhaps most common boundary test the Sigma male encounters is the weaponization of humor. In the social arena, humor often serves as a Swiss Army knife. It can build rapport, relieve tension, and foster connection. However, in the wrong hands, it becomes a precise instrument for probing boundaries and delivering insults under protective guise of just joking. The Sigma male possesses a highly calibrated sensor for this particular brand of toxicity. He instantly differentiates between lighthearted banter, which is offered with spirit of camaraderie, and the just joking jab, which is delivered with subtle yet unmistakable edge of hostility. The process is methodical. He clocks the pattern with unnerving speed. It begins with a single comment, a backhanded compliment that lands not as praise but as a subtle slap. Perhaps as a remark about his reclusive nature, framed as a joke about being too good for everyone else, or a comment on his success, tinged with the implication of luck rather than merit. The instigator then immediately retreats behind the shield of humor, issuing the standard commands: relax, or it's not that serious. This is a deliberate tactic designed to achieve 2 things. First, to deliver the insult, engage the reaction, and second, to shift the blame for any resulting tension onto the recipient for being too sensitive and failing to take a joke. For the Sigma male, this is not a trivial social misstep. It is a fundamental character reveal. He understands that a person who needs to hurt others to feel witty or powerful is operating from a place of deep insecurity and poor character. The content of the joke is almost irrelevant. The meta message is what matters. I am willing to cause you minor discomfort for my own amusement, and I will invalidate your feelings if you call me on it. The Sigma refuses to play this game. He will not waste his energy debating semantics or tone policing a grown adult who is fully aware of their actions. He will not provide the emotional reaction the instigator seeks. His response is not explosive but existential. He simply removes the instigator's access to him. He understands that attention, whether positive or negative, is fuel. By engaging in an argument over whether something was a joke, he would be pouring fuel on a fire he has no interest in warming himself by. His withdrawal is a complete and total energy embargo. He starves the disrespect of the oxygen it needs to survive, protecting his peace without ever having to raise his voice. The person simply finds themselves on the periphery of his world, their attempt at joking met with a placid, unresponsive silence that speaks volumes more than any argument ever could. 2. The theater of incompetence, zero tolerance for weaponized helplessness. In both professional and personal spheres, the Sigma male is a natural problem solver. His independent nature and competence often make him a beacon for those who are genuinely lost or in need of guidance. However, he draws a critical distinction between those who cannot do something and those who will not, choosing instead to engage in what is known as weaponized incompetence or strategic ignorance. This is an elaborate performance put on by the co-worker who can't seem to understand a simple process document that a child could follow, the partner who doesn't know how to operate a washing machine after a decade of cohabitation, or the friend who consistently forgets their wallet or their responsibilities when it's their turn to contribute. The Sigma male is allergic to the charade. He sees through performance not because he is cynical, but because he is a master of pattern recognition. The inconsistency is the tell. The same person who claims baffling ignorance in one area often demonstrates sharp competence in another, especially when it directly benefits them. He recognizes that this is not a knowledge gap. It is an effort gap. It is a conscious strategy to evade responsibility and pawn off one's duties onto a more competent party, manipulating them into the role of the forever fixer. The Sigma's tolerance for this behavior is precisely calibrated and incredibly limited. He operates on the principle of clear, fair, and documented instruction. He will explain a process once, with patience and clarity. He will even document it once, creating a referenceable resource to eliminate any future excuses. This initial investment is his due diligence, ensuring that he has provided every tool necessary for success. After that, the expectation is performance, not stories. The period of mentorship is over. The era of accountability begins. If the pattern of convenient confusion continues, the Sigma male does not nag, lecture, or express frustration. He simply redraws the architectural blueprint of the relationship in a professional setting. He will cease offering help, channeling communication through formal channels that create record of incompetence, and ultimately ensuring that the individual's failure to perform is visible to those who need to see it. In a personal relationship, he will stop inviting, stop relying, and stop including. His investment plummets to zero. He recognizes that his time is a capital with which he builds his future, and he will not allow another person's voluntary helplessness to steal the hours he has allocated for his own project's growth and peace. He would rather be perceived as rigid or unsympathetic than allow his life to become a dumping ground for other people's avoided responsibilities. 3. The duality of deceit. Zero tolerance for two-faced allegiance. Loyalty, for the Sigma male, is not a variable state. It is a binary condition. You are either loyal or you are not. There is no middle ground, no context-dependent version of faithfulness. Consequently, he possesses a zero-tolerance policy for duplicity, for the individual who wears one face in public and another in private. This is a person who offers effusive praise on a public social media timeline, but engages in subtle character assassination in private side conversations, group chats, or whisper exchanges. They are the ones who position themselves as your greatest ally in the spotlight, but become a source of doubt and delusion in the shadows. The Sigma male pays rapt attention to the gap between a person's public performative support and their private positioning. He is not listening for unanimous praise. He is too realistic to expect that. He is monitoring for congruence. Does the private conversation match the public sentiment? Is the counsel they offer him directly aligned with the image they project of him to others? Any misalignment is treated as critical data. This behavior reveals a character that is not rooted in integrity, but in social calculation. This person is not loyal to him. They are loyal to the social capital he provides or the audience that witnesses a performance of loyalty. When this pattern is identified, the Sigma's response is swift and final. There will be no dramatic confrontation, no tearful accusation, no attempt to expose a duplicity. To do so would be to engage in the very drama he abhors. Instead, he executes a quiet, surgical disengagement. He simply steps off their stage. The access that was once granted, the deep conversations, the vulnerability, the investment time and energy, is permanently revoked. The gates to his inner world are locked. He refuses to carry the weight of a relationship that only functions under the glow of a spotlight or the pressure of social expectation. His philosophy is simple. Loyalty is measured where nobody is clapping. in the quiet, unobserved moments when there is nothing to gain from being decent. If an individual requires an audience to act with integrity, they have proven themselves unworthy of a front-row seat to his life. 4. The illusion of care, zero tolerance for covert control. Autonomy is the bedrock of the Sigma male's existence. His ability to think for himself, make his own decisions, and steer the course of his own life is utterly non-negotiable. He respects input, counsel, and wisdom from trusted sources, but he rejects outright any and all attempts at control disguised as care. This manifests in a relative who always knows what's best for you, laying out a life path you never chose. It is a manager who cannot delegate without micromanaging every minute detail, suffocating initiative and creativity. It is a partner who frames possessive jealousy and monitoring as protection and concern. The Sigma male sees these behaviors for what they are, not acts of love or leadership, but attempts to own the steering wheel of his life. The instigator operates from a place of their own insecurity, seeking to alleviate their anxiety by controlling their environment and the people in it. They offer care that demands full access and compliance, but accepts zero accountability for the negative impact it has. The Sigma recognizes that true care empowers. It does not imprison. True leadership trusts. It does not suffocate. His resistance is not born of rebelliousness, but a profound responsibility. He believes that to be a responsible adult is to own one's choices, the yes and the no, the successes and the failures. To surrender this autonomy is to betray his own sovereignty. He will listen intently to counsel from individuals whose results and character he respects, those whose wisdom outranks the room. But this listening is an act of gathering data, not seeking permission. The final decision always rests with him. When faced with controller, the Sigma does not engage in heated arguments about freedom or respect. He understands that arguing with controller is just another form of engagement that feeds their need for drama and connection. Instead, he starves the attempt at control. He responds to micromanagement with impeccable, documented performance that removes the need for it, or he simply removes himself from that manager's orbit. He responds to possessive concern with polite, unassailable boundaries and diminished proximity. He does not fight the control. He makes it impossible to execute. By calmly and consistently reclaiming his space, he sends an unambiguous message. My life is not a democracy, and you do not get a vote. 5. The currency of time, zero tolerance for chronicle disregard. If there is one universal truth, the Sigma male understands with crystal clarity. It is that time is the only non-renewable resource. He treats his time with the reverence a financier reserves for capital, investing it purposefully in projects, people, and pursuits that yield a return in growth, peace, or fulfillment. Consequently, he has zero tolerance for those who treat his time like play money, as an infinite, low-value commodity to be spent frivolously. This disregard manifests as chronic lateness, last-minute cancellations fueled by flimsy excuses, and pervasive let's see or maybe culture that leaves plans in a perpetual state of ambiguous limbo. The Sigma does not interpret these behaviors as simple forgetfulness or spontaneousness. He reads them as a clear, consistent message. My schedule, my whims, my lack of planning are more important than your clearly allocated time. I do not value what you have chosen to set aside for me. The response is not an emotional outburst of anger at being kept waiting. It is a calm, logistical recalibration. He begins to shrink the window of access he affords that person. Invitations to important events or meaningful outings stop being extended. The spontaneous, energy-giving activities he enjoys are no longer offered to them. His replies to their messages become slower, more deliberate, and less invested. Eventually, that person finds the calendar of his life is simply closed to them. They are relegated to periphery, where their chaotic relationship with time can no longer cause disruptive ripple effects in his carefully structured world. The Sigma would infinitely prefer to be labeled rigid, punctual, or a planner than to build a life that runs on the chaotic, unpredictable tides of other people's poor time management. He understands the fundamental equation. The men who respect their own hours are the men whose hours, in aggregate, build a legacy, a skill, a business, or a life worth protecting. Allowing others to constantly raid this precious treasury is an act of self-sabotage he simply will not tolerate. 6. The echoes of gossip, zero tolerance for reputational entertainment. The Sigma male places a premium on substance and authenticity. He has little patience for the superficial social sport of gossip, the tearing down of absent third parties for the sake of entertainment, bonding, or social positioning. He views gossip not as harmless chatter, but as a profound character flaw and a toxic cultural virus. When he finds himself in a room where reputations are being casually dissected for sport, he experiences a deep sense of dissonance and discomfort. His reasoning is both philosophical and intensely practical. Philosophically, he believes in a simple standard: talk to people, not about them. If you have an issue with someone, address it with them directly with courage and respect. Engaging in behind-the-back criticism is cowardly and erodes the fabric of trust that holds any group together. Practically, he operates on an unshakable logic. If someone is willing to gossip to him, sharing private or unflattering information about others, they are absolutely willing to gossip about him the moment he leaves the room. He refuses to be a link in the chain of the telephone game that so often destroys reputations based on half-truths and misunderstandings. Therefore, his tolerance for this behavior is non-existent. His response in the moment is decisive. He will not nod along or offer encouraging ahas to keep the peace. He will either cut the topic cleanly by changing the subject or subtly defending the absent person, or he will physically remove himself from the table entirely. He does not do this to virtue signal or make others feel guilty. He does it for the integrity of his own soul. His highest priority is not that everyone likes him. It is that he can like and respect the man he sees in the mirror, the man he is when absolutely nobody is watching. Nothing erodes that self-respect faster than willingly joining a chorus that attacks people who are not present to defend themselves. By rejecting gossip, he protects not only the targets of the conversation, but, more importantly, his own character. 7. The ledger of relationships, zero tolerance for transactional extraction. The Sigma male can be remarkably generous, often giving his time, resources, and expertise without any immediate expectation of return. However, this generosity is predicated on a foundation of mutual respect and reciprocal energy. It is given freely, not under obligation. He maintains, often subconsciously, a keen sense of the relational ledger. He has zero tolerance for those who view his generosity not as a gift, but as an entitlement, a renewable resource to be extracted from. This is a friend who treats his wallet as a personal ATM, always with crisis and a request for a loan that never gets repaid. This is the buddy whose name on the caller ID is a near guarantee that he needs a favor, a ride, help moving, a connection, the use of his truck. This is a pal who keeps a meticulous mental scorecard of favors they've done for others, but who becomes mysteriously unavailable, unreachable, or so busy right now when the tables are turned and it is their turn to give. The Sigma reads this pattern with cold clarity. He understands that this is not a friendship. It is a one-way extraction pipeline. The relationship is entirely transactional and entirely in the other person's favor. Friendship, in his view, is defined by reciprocity, not a tit-for-tat accounting of every coffee bought, but a general flow of mutual support, initiative, and presence. True friends show up without being asked. They give because they want to contribute to your life, not because they are building credit to be withdrawn later. When he senses this pattern of extraction, he does not erupt in anger about being used. He simply, and without fanfare, closes a tap. The favors stop. The loans are no longer available. The energy he once invested in that relationship is reallocated. He allows the natural consequence of their own behavior, his absence and lack of support, to be the teacher. He protects his resources for the mission he is on and for the people who show up as genuine partners in the journey of life, not merely as passengers looking for a free ride. 8. The litmus test of character. Zero tolerance for downward disrespect. Perhaps the most telling behavior on the Sigma male zero tolerance list is how a person treats those from whom they can gain nothing. He is a keen auditor of character, and his most important litmus test is observing how an individual interacts with service staff, retail workers, janitors, delivery drivers, and anyone else in a perceived position of lesser power or status. This is where the mask of social performance slips and the raw, unvarnished character is revealed. An individual who is polite, respectful, and patient with CEO, but dismissive, rude, or condescending to a waiter has just revealed everything the Sigma male needs to know. They have shown that their respect is not a genuine trait, but strategic performance, doled out to those they deem worthy and withheld from those they deem beneath them. They need the leverage of power or the incentive of social capital to act with basic human decency. For the Sigma, this is an ultimate deal breaker. It is not that he is auditioning for sainthood or holds himself to a perfect standard. He is simply auditing for a fundamental alignment of values. In his hierarchy of values, respect is not conditional. It is a default setting, a habit practiced with everyone, regardless of their station in life. The moment someone proves they need power to be kind, they reveal a poverty of spirit and a deep-seated insecurity that the Sigma wants no part of. He will not align himself with someone who punches down, as he understands that this behavior is a ticking time bomb. Eventually, if that person gains power over him, he will become the target. His disengagement is immediate and absolute. How you treat those who can do nothing for you is the purest measure of who you are, and the Sigma male only has room in his life for those who measure up. Conclusion: the quiet power of an unbending spine. The Sigma male zero-tolerance policy is, in its totality, a profound act of self-loyalty. It is not a manifesto of misanthropy or a declaration of war on a flawed world. It is the quiet, daily practice of being loyal to life one is building on purpose. These boundaries are not enforced to project an image of toughness or superiority. They are enforced to create and protect conditions under which the right things can grow. Deep focus, unwavering peace, emotional stamina, clean and authentic relationships, and a future that is not slowly bled dry by 1,000 cuts of petty chaos and disrespect. In a modern culture that often rewards soft boundaries, loud excuses, and the constant performance of vulnerability, a silent, hard internal code will always appear unusual, harsh, or intimidating to those who live by external validation. The Sigma male is content to let it be perceived as such. He understands that the quieter a man becomes about his standards, the less he feels a need to announce or defend them, the louder and more powerful his results inevitably become. His life, well lived and on his own terms, becomes his ultimate statement. If this exploration has illuminated a boundary you have allowed to remain porous, consider this a sign to tighten it. You do not owe unlimited access to your energy, time, and peace to habits or people that shrink you. Your debt is not to comfort of others, but to the mission of your own life. Your respect is to be earned by those who demonstrate their own character, and your peace is to be gifted to the person you are in the process of becoming. This is the true point of zero tolerance, not cruelty, but crystalline clarity. It is the foundation for moving to the world with spine of steel, a standard of excellence, and the unshakable calm of a man who knows, with absolute certainty, what he will and will not allow in the sacred space of his existence. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly in your perspective. Whether you identify with it personally or have encountered it in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know, which part hit home the most for you? Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actionable insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time.